Jet is the 10th episode of season 1 of Avatar The Last Airbender, the greatest show of all time, at least in my opinion. I think yours too. That's why you're watching this video right now. But I feel like this is a more decisive episode according to the fan base, at least what I've seen from my experience, what I've seen from videos and people talking about it. People don't seem to like this too much. They feel like the Storm and Blue Spirit is much better when it comes to season 1 episodes. But yeah, in my opinion, this is maybe the best episode of season 1, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Before that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what episode I should do next of Avatar. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So, this is a Sokka focused episode mostly. He gets to develop as a character, as a person, as his morals, and that is really shown at the end when he gets the moral ending by saving the town. And it's really set early by him showing mercy to this old man while Jet is not showing mercy. And I just wish that we got to see it though. We only see these still frames almost, instead of Sokka running in, screaming, trying to get him, and they not believing in, and the old man. I feel like that would have been such a powerful scene if we got to see it. That is what really holds this episode back mostly for me. I just wish we got to see Sokka saving the town, and it would really be great for him. I understand they try to do we saw everyone died and thought Jet succeeded, but I feel like would have been more powerful if we saw Sokka going in and saving these people. We could have still gotten the did he succeed or not plotline, so we could have still had that cliffhanger type of story, but still have him run in. So I just wish we saw that. But this is really an episode of Sokka being compared to Jet and their leadership styles. And Jet is everything Sokka's not as a leader, and everything he's aspired to be. And that's why we really get to show why Jet and Sokka is different. And that is their moral compass. And that is why Sokka saved the town and Jet tried to destroy it. And it's really shown early on with the opening dialogue between our gang. We see Aang, Katara, and Sokka debating if they're gonna fly or not, and Sokka declares himself as a leader, and that is early season 1 Sokka down to a T, since he believes something he's not, at least in this point, and he's have to be served a little humble pie, which he gets when they walk into camp, and Jet has to save him and basically outdo Sokka in that fight on everything, and Jet even comments on it by saying, "Oh, you're too slow." It really shows that Sokka is nowhere near as capable as Jet is. If we move on to Katara, this is really an episode to show her naivety and her want to explore the world, which makes her fall for Jet and his charm almost instantly, which is really indicative to her character and really shows her passion after she realizes who Jet is. And I feel like it's not much we get to, but it's really small things here and there who really flesh out this character, which is the same with Aang. He also is naive in this episode and falls for Jam, just as Katara did, but just in another way. Katara falls maybe not in love, but she starts to like him at least. But Aang is no leader, which is declared in the opening, where Katara says, "Oh, Aang should be a leader because he's the Avatar," and obviously Aang is no leader. He's just a kid, and that's what they're trying to communicate. And he feels comfort with another person in charge, and that's why Sokka becomes the leader later and not Aang, which is usually the case in these kind of stories, these hero's journey, where the main character, the main hero, becomes the leader. We think of Harry Potter or Star Wars, where the main character becomes the leader, while here Sokka becomes the leader, and Aang is more of a tool to use, not to objectify him, but he's so much more there as a character, but he's still not a leader, and he feels so much comfort when another person takes the hard decision, and when Jet is so comfortable with making the tough decisions. He does not have that moral compass in that way. That's why Aang is so comfortable or falls for Je as Katara did so easily. And Sokka is the one that is skeptical. But when it comes to Je, our main man of this episode, it's really, I do want to touch upon his compelling backstory first. It's really Robin Hood inspired. With the tree house, it's pretty obvious he has his followers. He's seemingly a generous leader. And that gives the audience expectations of what Je is supposed to be. He's supposed to be, Robin Hood is such a upstanding citizen, we can call him, while Je is not, obviously, at the end. So it really gives us expectation of how Je is supposed to be, and doesn't have to give us too much exposition when it comes to his backstory. We gain a few little tidbits of his backstory when it comes to his trauma and his parents and why he lives here, and we get all that, but it's not really fleshed out too much. It's not that complicated. It's pretty simple. But the fact that we get this expectation of how he is as a character and his just charming nature and charismatic nature gives us expectations of how he's supposed to be and how he's, trustworthy. And we are almost, through the eyes of Aang and Katara, falling for him in the early, because they write him so well in those early scenes to be a good, great, and almost perfect leader, I'll say. And that makes the fall even bigger later. And we do understand his motive at the end still. He's fighting a war, he got the trauma, he's just misguided. But we do understand him, so he doesn't make him a full-on villain, but more of an anti-hero role, I guess. But it's really focused on the black and white, how Jess sees the world in black and white. And as explained earlier, that comes back to his backstory, and he thinks everyone is a threat. And that is so clear when they walk upon this old man and basically tries to rob him and try to set him up with a knife. It's pretty obvious that Jet is a shady guy. And Sokka is the one that is, what do we call it, is skeptical and really tries to investigate if Jet is really lying or not, or is telling the truth or not. But it's that charisma that really makes us believe in Jet. And we're shocked by him turning, but not surprised, if you know what I mean. Because in the moment, at least when I saw it the first time, I was a little shocked. I was like, oh, it's just bad? Because I wanted to believe him. The charisma he has and how he talks and how he is as a leader, you want to believe him. That's why you're shocked. But the seeds planted early by this episode and by the writers on the old man and how he uses a knife, and if you really pay attention, that's not the old man's knife. So you're not surprised, and I feel like that's really good on the writers, since it could have easily fallen into a trap where he's so perfect in the beginning that it's like, no, it comes out of nowhere that he's an evil man or he has other intentions. And that is what Disney falls into a lot over the last 10 years, those twist villain issues that they notoriously have. And I love that they don't fall into that too much here. They set it up early. It's pretty clear when you rewatch it that, Jet is pretty questionable pretty early. And that is great, honestly, so we don't fall into that trope. When it comes to comparisons, that is the main focus of the episode. It compares with Katara and Sokka, with both their trauma and parents at a young age. One chose vengeance and violence, and the other two chose to help people and try to do better with the world. And especially with Sokka, that is the main focus. They really try to compare its leadership, as I said, and I feel like they do a great job with that, since Sokka is not the leader that Jet is. That is true, but he's shown something that is intangible, something that is beyond leadership skills. He has that moral compass that Jet just lacks, and it really begins his leadership journey. This is probably the first episode where Sokka really is a good leader, and it really shows us a path for him that he really takes and develops later, and that arc is one of the best arcs in the whole series. So it's a really important episode for Sokka. And yeah, when it comes to the fight scenes, which is another point I want to address, I love the fight scenes in this episode, especially that Aang Jet fight at the end. It's a great setting using the trees, and Jet has a unique weapon that allows him to keep up with Aang. And there's another thing, they really show us a non-bending person keeping up with a bender, which I don't think they've done before. They did that a little bit in the Kyoshi episode, but really here they show a bender and a non-bender fighting, and it's equal. And I'd say Jet wins, honestly, against Aang, because it really sets up later characters that are non-benders, such as Sokka, such as Pian Dao, and others, maybe Mei and Ty Lee, that comes in the second season. They really show or open the door to non-benders being capable enough to compete with benders. And yeah, Suki was first, but I feel like Jet is the first one that really wins almost, and the first one that is against our heroes, because Suki was obviously against the Fire Nation, while here it's Jet against Aang, which really gives us a good power scaling almost. But also that opening fight was a good fight. It's really fun. Sokka low point shows his growth, and it's a really good character point, and it shows Jet's capability and charisma early on in a fight, which is essential to making this episode work, with Jet's character and his downfall later. Overall, I believe this is the best episode of season 1, even better than The Storm and The Blue Spirit. I believe it's the most complete episode from start to finish. I just wish that we saw Sokka's rescue of the town. That's the only issue I have with it. Otherwise, the dialogue is great. I guess the side characters of Jet is a little underdeveloped, but what you expect when it's so many characters. Maybe they should have minimized the cast of freedom fighters that Jet had, I guess. But other than those two minor complaints, this is a perfect episode. The fight scenes are two of the best of season 1, and it's just the character arc of Sokka, Jet's character, Katara and Aang both get not a substantial role, but get enough done so they don't feel like side characters. They still feel like they have a meaningful role in this episode. And yeah, it just gives us more perspective on this world. More, not that Fire Nation is just evil and the Earth Kingdom and everyone else is just good. We gain more perspective. We gain more information. We become smarter, and this world becomes more complex. And yeah, it just walks the line of being fun and serious at the same time, which is where I believe Avatar operates best, when it can have these fun one-liners or fun jokes or fun visual jokes while also being serious with its characters and character arcs, with really apparent war scars that people have, trauma and death that we see in the show. And I feel like this episode does that really well. It has some fun moments, but it also have the serious war element to it. So, do you love this episode as much as me, or do you hate this one? Please comment it down below, and we can have a discussion about it. I love talking about Avatar, and I believe you do too, since you stayed this far into the video. If you want more, go and check my Imprisons video from last week. Just go on my channel, and I will be dropping one video each week about a new episode of Avatar. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day.